So, welcome back to the fourth day of the live webinar series, Sustainable Biosolutions 2020, jointly organized by Vel Tech Rangarajan Dr. Sagunthala, R&D Institute of Science and Technology, Department of Biotechnology, and Biomall.in. So, the session, as every day, we will initially have the presentation, and after that, we will have a question and answer round. So, we will begin with a short introduction about Biomall.in. So basically, we are India's first online portal for where you can buy any kinds of laboratory and diagnostic products. The main idea is to cut short the entire long and tedious process of quotation, indent quotation, purchase, delivery to just a short process of just 3 to 4 steps. You can just go online, search for your product, compare between different brands, and buy it online. You can buy multiple products in a single order, and it is delivered to you at your doorstep. So, also during lockdown, we are delivering products which are essential for COVID-19, including protection equipments like masks and disinfection reagents, solutions, and lab products, lab reagents. We are supplying all of that. So if you need anything, please go online on www.biomall.in. So now may I request Dr. K. Tarangini, the Assistant Professor at the Department of Biotechnology, to introduce Vel Tech Rangarajan Institute of Science and Technology and take the session ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Viraj. And welcome to all. We at the Department of Biotechnology, Vel Tech Rangarajan Dr. Sagunthala R&D Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai, are happy to bring this webinar in association with Biomall.in. Vel Tech Chennai was established in 1997 by Dr. R. Rangarajan and Dr. Sagunthala Rangarajan. This institution is a private deemed to be university and is ranked number 5 in the country by MHRD for innovation. Has a diamond rating from iGauge, 43rd among Asian universities in the Times Higher Education World Rankings. Our Department of Biotechnology aims to create and promote upskilled graduates with a professional attitude who are industry ready. We are happy to introduce the speaker of this session, Dr. Azhagu Saravana Babu, Associate Professor, Department of Biotechnology, Vel Tech Rangarajan, Dr. Sagunthala, R&D Institute of Science and Technology. Dr. P. Azhagu Saravana Babu earned his PhD in biotechnology from Anna University, Chennai in the year 2017. Prior to PhD, he has completed MTech in Industrial Biotechnology from Sastra University in 2006 and joined academics as Assistant Professor at the Department of Biotech, MVCE Bangalore. Since then, he has achieved 13 plus years of experience in teaching and research. During his career, he has obtained 25 international publications, written 2 international book chapters on food processing, participated in 24 conferences and 13 workshops. Notably, he is a recipient of Best Teacher Award at MVCE Bangalore and is a reviewer of the Journal of Food Process Engineering by Wiley Publications. Sir?
Sir, I request you to please open your slides and begin with the presentation.
Good afternoon. This is a great pleasure for me to deliver my lecture in this platform from my institution. I'd like to thank, in the beginning, I would like to thank my Vice Chancellor, Register, Director, Deans, and the head of the Department of Biotechnology and Vel Tech, Rangarajan Dr. Sagunthala, R&D Institute of Science and Technology. The acute diseases, so most of the acute diseases are as like a spreadable, okay, it's also communicable diseases, and suddenly the onset of action of these kind of diseases are very short time. The duration of the disease is very, very short time comparatively with the chronic disease. Nowadays, actually, we are suffering, the world is suffering because of this acute pandemic outbreak of COVID-19. So in this time, what is the need of discussing about the chronic diseases? That is very important here. So what is the need? Why we are discussing about cardiovascular problem? What is the need of discussing about disease, this diabetic? What is the need of discussing about renal failure? So if you are asking this question to me, I can tell why we have to concentrate, why we have to consider this kind of chronic diseases. You can see the slide. This is the news from almost all over the world and from through the media as well as the scientific communities. So nearly all kind of patients who are all hospitalized for COVID-19, they had a lot of chronic diseases. That means they have some history of chronic diseases. So they must be having some cardiovascular problems. They must be having some diabetics, cancers, renal failure, and respiratory problems. So if you have a normal body with a lot of immunity, you don't need to worry about any kind of biological infections. It may be from virus, or maybe from bacteria, or maybe from some other kind of microorganisms. So here, why we have to discuss about cardiovascular problems, all the things, is all non-communicable diseases. If the person is having a number of non-communicable diseases, definitely these kind of biological agents will give up big changes in the world. So that's why this is a news for everybody. If a person is persisting with a lot of behavioral changes, food behavioral change, whatever, so all kind of the behavioral changes will cause these kind of chronic diseases, non-communicable chronic diseases. So this is the news for the world. If our body is not having the immunity, automatically any kind of infections easily will be affected. So before entering into the slide for the presentation, I want to show some pictures. Can you see the pictures now? So these are the very sophisticated and very modernized, very a lot of engineering concepts are involving in these missions. You can see the first picture. It is the Indian Space Shuttle. It's being prepared in ISRO. So our scientists are involving in this manufacturing of Indian Space Shuttle. Okay, and then the International Space Station. So why I want to show in the sense, this is the peculiar complexity, how they are making these machines. There are 2.5 million electronics and electrical parts are involving in this International Space Station. The total wiring of this International Space Station is nearly 340 kilometers. So I can imagine how much is a complicated machines in this world here. But next one, you see here, the nuclear reactors, how it is functioning, what is the power plant, how the generation, how the atomic power plant is working there. And then next one is the cryogenic engine. Why I'm showing this kind of pictures in this presentation, in the sense, if anybody asking me, what is a very big complicated machine in the world? If anybody asking me, I can say, do you have any idea what is the biggest complicated machine in the world which cannot be understandable? Do you have any idea? You can write here. Which is a complicated machine in the world? Any idea about the complicated machine in the world? The biggest complicated machine is a human body, because it is intricate. So, as I said, as you said, the human body is a very complicated machine in the world because it is intricate. So no one can understand what is happening in our body. It is irreparable. Okay, if once the cell is damaged or cell is completely oxidized, they cannot replace particular cells for the organs. Okay, it is inexplicable. That means we cannot explain the process, what is happening there. If you are seeing some horror movie, okay, so if you're seeing that horror movie and our heart pump is increasing, there is a secretion of sweating, there is a shivering, the out of system, all the systems, central nervous system, the hormone system, everything is involving. How to explain these kind of reactions? What is the reaction between that horror movie screen with our body? We cannot explain anything. Okay, at the same time, we are saying that it is a very complicated machine, but at the same time, this is the very strongest machine in the world. You know that. So this is the very strongest machine, so mentally as well as physically. If you are maintaining this particular machine with the proper fuel, and definitely no one can change the entire system. No microorganisms can enter into the system because they have that much immunity comparatively with other machines. then who damage the system? As I said, a lot of pandemic outbreaks are happening in the world. Lot of pandemic, lot of viral, lot of microbial infections are occurring in the body. And comparatively with that, comparatively with the infections, infectious diseases, these kind of epidemic diseases, how the epidemic diseases are forming in our body. So these kind of epidemic diseases, what are the root causes for damaging the system? Instead of going for microorganisms, we can, so particularly we can, if you're going for the survey, 85% of diseases occurred by human being, occurred by man only, because of some kind of root causes, some kind of stress, alcohol consumption, tobacco, unhealthy diet, and the physical inactivity. In after independence, that means the 1990s, 1940s, after 1940s, in the root causes, you can see the root of this tree. Only stress, alcohol, tobacco consumption, and physical inactivity. Somehow it was there. These kind of reasons were there for getting the chronic diseases. But after 1990s, this unhealthy diet, the unbehaved, that kind of behavioral changes in the food consumption, everything is included in this tree. That means most of the 90% of the chronic diseases are forming by the unhealthy diet. So you can say all pandemic diets, all the pandemic outbreaks and all is very dangerous to the human being. Okay, that is accepted because the world is facing a lot of problems. The biggest problem because of this pandemic outbreak. But at the same time, if you're coming for the epidemic non-communicable diseases, all the heart attack, all kind of renal failures, diabetics. If diabetics are having diabetics and renal failures like a twins, if you are suffering from diabetics, definitely the renal impairment, it will be happening. Okay, these are the root causes for the chronic diseases. So in such case, man is the reason for getting a chronic diseases. So the world is having more and more concern on about these NCDs, the non-communicable chronic diseases, because 85% of the total mortality in globally, it is occurred because of this kind of non-communicable chronic diseases. So as I said, cardiovascular problem, cancers, diabetics, chronic respiratory problem, including asthma, kidney diseases, prostate cancers, some kind of neurological disorders, so including Alzheimer's disease and strokes. These are the major non-communicable chronic diseases. Okay, so that's why what all the governments, all the countries, all the organizations, including World Health Organizations and the ESDA, FDA, and all the organizations, they are considering to go for some kind of plan, some kind of control we have to make. So by using which way you can go for this kind of control, so that we have to monitor. So here in you can see these figures. So each and every people, so out of 82% of mortality, 90%, that means 90% of this kind of mortality is happening in between the 40 to 70 age of people. So here, so what is the need of controlling this kind of chronic diseases? So you can see NCD killed 38 million of people each year globally. 38 million. In this 38 million people, and 16 million of people from the age of 30 to 70. Today, you know, the news is 31 years Princess of Austria, she has died because of cardiac arrest. So this is the news today. So 60 million people of the NCD patients, they are dying in between the age of 30 to 70. So in overall mortality, 82% of the people are dying there. They lost their life because of this group of diseases: cardiovascular, cancer, diabetic, and respiratory problem. So this is why actually, because of this condition, this status only, there is some kind of some prevention, some control is needed. So the long life treatment is not possible. So this kind of chronic diseases, we cannot completely eradicate from by using some treatments. So if it is a pandemic diseases, any infections, the treatment process is very short time. The onset of the treatment process is very short. But these kind of chronic diseases, non-communicable diseases, are very dangerous to the human being as well as the society. So here, the World Health Organization already they warned about this kind of non-communicable diseases. It's rapidly becoming the epidemic in worldwide. So pandemic diseases we are seeing the corona is a pandemic diseases, but in the short time period we can completely we can come out from this kind of infections because Indians are having the very powerful in immunity, all kind of immunity model, everything is there. But here, if the person is suffering from this kind of metabolism, any kind of changes in metabolism, then the immunity modulations, anything if it is happening, and it's very difficult to eradicate all kind of problems. And here, so what is the reason actually why we have to go for controlling this kind of this problem? So this escalating rate of this kind of problem, how it is happening? So there is a big survey was occurred. Okay, so in this survey, what they identified, these kind of chronic diseases not only because of the genetic reasons, not only because of the family backgrounds. Okay, it may be increased because of unhealthy diets. 1990s, after 1990s only, these causes will be added into, it was added into the list of the causes for the cardiovascular problems, for the diabetics, for the renal impairment. So here unhealthy diet is a very big role, it's playing a very big role in the development of cardiovascular problems, all kind of these non-communicable diseases. So unhealthy diet, food habits, then the lifestyle is a very very important causes of this cardiovascular, all kind of these non-communicable diseases. Tobacco uses and alcohol, it is from the beginning when it was happening, from the in the 100 years they're saying tobacco uses and alcohol and all, this definitely will cause cancer, it will be causing the cardiovascular problems, everything we know that. But newly, this is a unhealthy diet, food habits, lifestyle, this is newly added into the causes. Okay, so how the problems occurs and how we have to eradicate, how to go for this controlling, monitoring this kind of a long-term process, long-term diseases for the human being. And I can show this slide. This is a very important breakdown. This is a turning point of the medical history, how the food become toxic components, how the food which has a nutritional component, that particular nutritional component, how it is converting into the toxic materials. So this is a important slide. I can say in my presentation, the world is keep on considering, keep on discussing about this only, because while controlling the diseases, while controlling the any type of disorders, they are discussing about these two plates. Okay, so here I'll say, okay, what are the ready to cook food, what are the ready to eat food, and then what is ready to taste food. The first one is that is okay, we can accept ready to cook in the sense we can go for normal cooking, it will take 1 or 2 hours, it is good for health, we can say that. What is ready to eat food in the sense, most of the people they will cut the vegetables. Okay, they will keep it for a long time, they will store in the refrigerators. Okay, they will be forming a lot of oxidized some sulfur components, so all kind of evaporations will be happening in the fridge. So if it is cutting the vegetables, a lot of reactions will be happening, a lot of mild reactions will be happening, a lot of browning reactions will be happening. So each and every chemical reactions will be happening once if you are cutting the vegetables and store it for a long time in the freezer and the fridge. So the ready to eat food and all almost off boiled, off cooked. Okay, so if you are coming for ready to taste food, this is very very danger for the health. What is ready to taste? In the restaurants, they will be cooking the food 2 days before, almost they'll be including all the ingredients they 2 weeks before, and they'll be adding lot of taste enhancer. Okay, initially what, how they're increasing the taste in the sense they will add a lot of chemicals, they'll add monosodium glutamates. Okay, monosodium glutamate in the sense it is the ajinomoto. So each and every fried rices, fried noodles, fried products, french fries, chips, everything they're adding monosodium glutamate. So can you audible? I think am I audible for you? Okay, thank you. So most of the ready to taste food and all preserved with added ingredients. So these kind of preservatives, they might have added a lot of preservatives, chemical preservatives especially. They might have added a lot of class 1, class 2 preservatives. If it is a class 1 preservatives, they will go for chemical nitrates, benzoates and all. If you're going for class 2 preservatives, they will add a lot of some natural compounds, but not at all healthy. Okay, here I want to tell you. So here this is a big changes happening in the food industry, especially for the healthy people, how the healthy people are converting into the patients. So these kind of, the right hand side, the unbalanced diet is there. These kind of food products, it is coming from the same kind of vegetables. Okay, these vegetables, this meat only it is converting into this kind of fried one. Okay, then what is happening, how it is changed this balanced diet into unbalanced diet, what is the preparation methods, so how they are preparing this food, that is very very important. Okay, if you are going for ready to cook food, cooking is a very important phenomenon here. So here how the meat is converted into the fried meat, how the potato is converting into the french fry, there's a lot of informations are there. How the nutritional molecule is becoming a toxic molecule, it is very important to consider. I will tell you, I will explain with a small example. So here the same food ingredients we are eating, and we are saying this is a balanced diet, but the same product is just a converted product of these natural components, that's it. Okay, but here I want to explain by the potato. Okay, so you know that potato is having a lot of carbohydrates, it has a protein, amino acids, and it has a lot of polyphenols. Okay, so how these polyphenols, how these amino acids, how it is converting into toxic components, we didn't know that. Actually, many of the people not working in this kind of food industry, they are not aware of that the particular component, one component is converting into another toxic component by the preparation methods, how the preparatory methods involving the formation of toxic chemicals. Okay, what is happening here, I will tell you. When the potato is fried, deep fried at the temperature of 190 degrees Celsius, asparagine is the amino acid which is more, which is abundant in the potato. Okay, once it is frying in the deep oil fry at 190 degrees Celsius, there is oxidations will be happening. At the same time, there is a Maillard reactions. Maillard reactions means when the amino acids, any kind of amino acids will be contacting the reducing sugars or glucose, whatever, it will be reacting and it will be forming the Maillard reactions product. And the same time, while heating, it will be oxidizing, keep on oxidizing. Okay, this asparagine will be keep on oxidizing into acrolein, and this acrolein will be forming acrylic acid. At the same time, in the continuous progressing of heating, this acrylic acid will be forming acrylamide. Okay, so acrylamide is a component, a chemical component which is forming from asparagine. Asparagine, if you are consuming asparagine, that is nutritional amino acids which is good for building block of muscles, that is good for the health. If you are frying, that the preparatory methods of food, it is a very very important things to consider. Okay, so the asparagine is how the asparagine is converting into acrylamide. So this is a process is happening almost all the restaurants. Here acrylamide, what is acrylamide, you can see what is acrylamide. When the food is fried, okay, when the food is fried, when it is grilled, when it is smoked, or when it is baked and toasted also at the temperature of 120 degrees Celsius to 190 degrees Celsius, there is a formation of acrylamide. So according to the IARC report, this is the International Agency for Research on Cancer. So according to this report, what they're saying, this acrylamide, it's causing cancer. This is a potential carcinogenic to human being. So there are many studies. So we have done many studies on this acrylamide formations from the potato, French fries, and chips and all. So we have got a lot of concentration of carcinogens. Okay, this acrylamide. So what they said in the sense, most of the acrylamide, most of these kind of acrylamide, it is completely dismantling the cell signaling which is happening in the central nervous system, and it's also depositing triglycerides in the blood vessels. Okay, there's also accumulations of triglycerides will be occurring in the blood vessels. It's a very danger. And the better side of the this concept, this process is most of the children are the uh, best consumer for this kind of potato products. So we have done this analysis in our lab. Actually, we have checked with the potato French fries as well as the potato chips. the maximum permissible limit. The IARC, they have given the guidelines, maximum permissible limit of acrylamide intake for the human being, that is 21 to 77 ppb, parts per billion, as a mg per kg. So when we are going for this kind of French phrase, while going for LC analysis, so we got 28 ppb. So 28 ppb, that means 28 ppb is in the sense doubling, tripling level of the normal intake level, the permissible intake level. If you're going for potato chips, you can see 250 ppb we have got. So this is a very big phenomenon which is happening. The conversion of the normal amino acid is converted into the acrylamide. Okay, this is a very sad to discuss about this one, because there is no other way, because the people are very much interested to taste these kind of food products. But at the same time, this is very dangerous to human health, because many of the non-communicable diseases, what I said in the beginning, most of the cardiovascular problems, renal impairment, cancer, the accumulation of these kind of carcinogenic component, definitely it will cause cancer. And then this is another fried product, is a smoked meat. What we are 250 ppb, and the sense mg per kg, sir. Per kg of potato, we have got this much. Dr. Jayant asked this question. Okay, I'll give one more hint. So in the end of the session, you can ask one questions: how to control this acrylamide formations while preparing the French fries. That also we have done. Okay, you can ask me this question: how to control this acrylamide formations while preparing the French fries. I'll tell you the answer. You just to put into the questionnaire session. So 77 μg per kg, in the sense μg per kg, sir. Okay, so here the smoked meat. So initially, the olden days, the people, our ancestors, before the olden age and all, they were using this kind of practice. Can I audible? My video is okay. Somebody has written no video. Yes, thank you. So this kind of smoked meat, the healthiness of this kind of meat is based on what type of fuels they're using. So the flame, the smoke is coming from which kind of that material, that fuel material. In the sense, uh, if you are there, people, you're using some plastics or some rubber kind of fuels, as some kind of wooden material which has some toxic elements, which is exhibiting some toxic elements, exhibiting some amount of sulfur content things and all. If these kind of smokes, if you are using for smoked meat, definitely these people, those people who are consuming, so definitely they will get some carcinogenic absorption. So what happened, no? So if people, they're using some kind of plastic things and all, so there's a lot of components will be exit from the flame, that is a polyacrylic hydrocarbons and polychlorinated biphenyls and dioxins. Dioxins are very dangerous component, which is completely, it will spoil the fertility nature of the human being. Okay, these dioxins will be forming from the plastic burning. So plastic burning, if particular restaurant, if they're using some kind of hospital waste, hospital plastics, some kind of other type of rubber type of materials, if you're using for the smoked meat preparations, definitely some kind of toxins, some kind of dioxins will be forming. So these kind of dioxins, what will happen, no, it will be definitely, it will be spoiling the fertility system, fertility reproduction system of our body. Okay, these kind of gases, this kind of flame, this kind of fumes will be creating a lot of cancers for stomach, skin, lungs, everywhere. So many studies have been done on this related to the PAH, polyacrylohydrocarbons. Many studies have been done on animals for by using the consumption and inhalation with animals. So finally, what they have found out, they found out a lot of tumor formation. There is a excessive phosphorylation of the amino acids and cells, everything. It was occurred because of the continuous inhalation, continuous consumption of the meat, which is absorbed with this kind of polyhydrocarbons and these kind of dioxins. So if anybody, if any restaurants people and all, if you're using, if you're preparing this smoked meat, and that smoked meat, that smoke, what is the source of that smoke, we have to identify. Otherwise, am I audible now? Madam, am I audible? Okay, thank you. So many laboratory studies confirm that. So those kind of fried products and fried meats, toasted meat, this type of grilled meats, smoked meats, everything, these kind of the food habits, this kind of the behavior, everything is playing a big role in the generation of non-communicable chronic diseases. Because if our body is getting spoiled because of absorption of glucose, absorption of insulin, for example, insulin resistance, everything is happening because of these kind of food behavior. Okay, what are the other reasons apart from this? What are the other reasons, sir, we are suffering, we people are suffering? What is the reason for getting this kind of chronic diseases? What are the other reasons? If you're going for the pesticide content, it is a very major issues of getting cancers because of pesticides. Pesticide in the sense, most of the fruits and vegetables and all, they are very much susceptible for pest attacks, and they'll spray the pest, they'll say the pesticides from the seedlings, as well as when they're harvesting the plants also they will spray, and they'll while storing and while selling also they'll spray with the small bottles. Okay, so these kind of pesticides consumption also will be playing a big role for generating these kind of non-communicable chronic diseases. Pesticide content, most of the pesticides in vegetable industry and juice industry, and they are identifying. We have done some work on pesticides in tomatoes. So tomatoes, the maximum permissible limit, the maximum residual limit of pesticide is almost 5 ppm. So if you're getting some tomatoes from many markets and all, there is a lot of content of pesticides present over there. So a lot of parathion, malathion, permethrin, chloripyrifos, so many kind of mixed pesticides and all, they keep on spraying from the seedlings. From the seedlings, in the sense from the soil. The soil also will be absorbing those kind of pesticides. At the same time, those vegetables, fruits also will be having a lot of absorption on the pesticide molecules. So this is the MRL level which I have done already. They've done this tomato product. Okay, I will tell you. So you just ask this question: how to remove, how to wash this pesticide solution from the tomato. I will tell you later. Okay, these kind of pesticide molecules definitely will be causing this kind of diseases, especially cancers. And heavy metal absorption, as we know that the heavy metal absorptions will be adding in our cycle, in our life cycle, because of the plant. If the plant is settling in the contaminated soil, if soil is uptaking all the chromium, arsenic, those kind of heavy metals, definitely it will be adding into our life cycle. This kind of metal accumulations also, bioaccumulation of metal also will be playing a big role of getting cancers, all kind of diseases. Many molecule modulations will be happening because of this kind of heavy metal accumulations in our body. And then the final one is, next one is preservatives. I already told you many kind of chemicals are automatically, without our knowledge, many kind of preservatives, pesticides and all we are consuming through food, through any kind of things, through water, through food, through fruits, vegetable, any kind of things. So there is a lot of inhalation, consumption of these kind of preservatives. Am I audible, madam? Okay. So what are the preservatives? So what is the need of preservatives? So if you're storing food for long-term process, if you're storing that particular storage, so many non-chemical process and all there. But at the same time, many companies, while preparing the food only, they're adding a lot of class 1, class 2 preservatives. So many kind of preservatives. Sir, please refresh it, sir. Dr. Mohan, sir, please refresh it. Many kind of preservatives, not only for the vegetables. Am I audible, madam? Okay. Okay, so many kind of preservatives. If the meat is preserved, they're adding a lot of benzoates. If you want to export, if any company want to export one place to another place, then meat completely it will be mixed with a lot of benzoates, lot of nitrates, lot of nitrates. So I told you, while going for smoking kind of meat preservation, that grilled type of meat preservation, or some toasted type of meat preservations, while doing that without adding any kind of spices, so those kind of. Am I audible, madam? Actually, it's okay. I'm getting the messages. Okay, thank you.
Participants. So you please continue with the presentation.
Okay, madam. Thank you, madam.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. So many meat processing industry, they're adding a lot of chemical preservatives. So all kind of chemical preservatives, especially this kind of butylated hydroxy, anisole, butylated hydroxy, toluenes, benzoate, nitrates, and nitrates. So these kind of chemicals and all, definitely it will be a causing, it will be a big causing agent for those kind of non-communicable diseases. And packaging material, if the food is packing with the proper material, then only the food will be, it won't be oxidized one. Otherwise, if it is not properly packed, there is a lot of oxidations will be happening. There is a lot of rancidifications will be happening. If the food is having some oily components, some fat molecules and all, there is a chances of getting oxidations, rancidifications. So that's why they'll add some natural type of antioxidants. Okay, then storage conditions. The storage can want the storage conditions want the when the food is prepared, the storage conditions also playing a big role of the capability. That means the nutritional capability, how to maintain the nutritional capability by storage conditions. That and all is a very big uh, process parameters we have to monitor for the food preservations. So what are the suggestions? So I told you how the this kind of non-communicable diseases are formed, and then what are the reasons, how the unhealthy diet is impacting on the degeneration of this kind of disease. Because again and again I'm telling, so comparatively with the pandemic diseases, this kind of epidemic diseases, non-communicable diseases and all, many people are suffering because of these kind of diseases. Very much we have to concentrate, we have to have some concern on this kind of things, because only the man is the reason for, only our behavioral things, our food habits, our diet is a reason for getting those kind of diseases. Okay, so now you can see what are the suggestions, what suggestions the scientific community is telling. In the beginning, in the title, I have given how to control this, how to manage this kind of diseases, because the complete therapeutic, complete treatment for the long-term process, it is not possible. It's very, very difficult to eradicate diabetics from one patient. It's very difficult to eradicate the kidney problems and all. If one patient is suffering from kidney renal failure, that is very difficult to eradicate, because once if you are getting the disease, if you are getting the infection, somehow we can manage, we can go for antiviral drugs. But these kind of non-communicable disease, a person if is suffering from this kind of disease, definitely is not at all possible to eradicate. So what are the suggestions? I will show this slide. So how to manage this kind of chronic NCDs, non-communicable diseases, for long-term process, whether we can go for the drug or any other specific pharmaceuticals, it is not possible. Or if you're going for any nutritional components, and then that also only nutritional components only, it will be good for health. Okay, it is involving some kind of pathways in the disease management. But what is nutraceuticals? So any kind of nutritional component which has a high therapeutic property. Okay, any nutritional components, any kind of antioxidant, anti malarial drugs and all, it will be having some molecules, some nutritional components which will be having some kind of therapeutic property. So what we can do, those kind of therapeutic molecules we can isolate, we can make a nutraceuticals. Okay, so if the nutraceutical is framed, and what is a method to incorporate into the food. So some kind of fortifications we can do with this nutraceutical. So that is called nothing but a functional food. If the patient is suffering from cardiovascular problem or diabetics or renal failure, so those kind of people and all, they can go for this functional food administration. That will be definitely will give a proper result. At the same time, they cannot, some chances are there to eradicate some kind of diabetics, maybe a type 2 diabetes, somehow we can manage it. And what is nutraceuticals? What is the special things will be there in nutraceuticals? I can say any nutritional component which has some therapeutic or medicinal property. Okay, any kind of vitamin C is ascorbic acid. There is a powerful antioxidant. So any kind of cell damage. So any type of free radical formations from the cells. So those kind of free radicals will be completely removed, completely quenched, completely inhibited by using lot of vitamin C. And then what are the bioactive compounds? So same thing. There is a small difference will be there between nutraceuticals and the bioactive compounds. Okay, so plants are the richest source of the macro and micronutrients. Most of the plants are having the medicinal property, especially in India. We have a lot of herbal plants, we have a lot of therapeutic plants, so most of the plants are not aware of many people. Okay, still now many of the plants are having many properties, many therapeutic properties, but still it is not yet reported in any scientific papers. So what is antioxidant? So many plants are having antioxidant property. So antioxidants, if you're consuming antioxidant, so those kind of antioxidants will be stopping the free radical formation, because free radical formation is the initial step of any kind of cell damage. Okay, in a food industry, if you're going for any food industry, there nowadays they're using a lot of natural antioxidants. You can ask me what are the natural antioxidants, I'll tell you in the questionnaires. Next, these are the biomolecules from polyphenolic characteristics. Polyphenols, basically, they're the phenolic acid, derivative of benzoic acids. There are 4,000 type of polyphenols have been identified from the flowers, fruits, seeds, leaves, everything. Okay, there are the different classes of polyphenols are there. Okay, this is like a stolburn. This is based on the phenolic rings. It's little bit the variations will be there. So phenolic acid, flavonoids, stolburns, and lignans. So it depends on their role. Quercetin is a powerful polyphenol which is playing a very big role in vasorelaxation property in the cardiovascular management. The cardiovascular, when the cholesterol molecules are accumulated, and this kind of quercetin polyphenol molecule and all, it will be going through the blood vessels, and it will be relaxing the smooth muscles, and it will be widening, it will be dilating, it will be widening the blood vessels, and it will allow the blood to flow properly. So these kind of polyphenols act as anti-cancerous agent, anti-hypertensive agent, anti-diabetic agents, and a lot of neurogenic disorders, because polyphenols are basically the natural components. Directly we can use for the treatment, anti-cancerous, anti-hypertensive, but the rapid action will be very less, not like allopathic drug, because this is like a food components. It has a low mode of action, so slowly, progressively they can go for the particular tissues, and then it will be starting the mechanisms. And here the functional food, it will be designed by a lot of micronutrients. So each and every micronutrients will be having some kind of therapeutic property. We know that. So the garlic is good for health, good for cardiovascular problems, and omega-3 fatty acids. If you're going for omega-3 fatty acid isolations from fish and all, the docosahexaenoic acid, EHA, DHA, so those kind of omega-3 fatty acids and all is used for cardiovascular problems. So once if the particular food molecules are fried, I already told you the deep frying. Deep frying is a process actually for taste purpose we are doing, but while the deep frying 196 degrees Celsius, so most of the micronutrients will be getting lost. That means, so the concentration of this kind of omega-3 fatty, if you are making the fish recipe, if you are going for the deep frying, definitely most of the omega-3 fatty acids group, so DHA, EHA, everything will be leach out from this oil. Okay, everything will be come out from oil. At the same time, it will form a lot of rancid. That rancid is not at all good for your health. And then this kind of functional foods may be a immunity modulator, it will be a prevention. Most of the polyphenols have antimicrobial property, antioxidant property, anti-diabetic property, and it is also used in the prevention of inflammations. It is playing a big role in inflammatory property, that I will tell you in the next slide. So here I want to tell about Indian spices. So India is having the abundant spices molecules, spices plants. Okay, according to the World Health Organizations, the medicinal plants are not only involving in the therapeutic purpose. So many spices are having the therapeutic nature. For example, if you're going for pepper, fenugreek, any kind of Indian spices, they're having anti-inflammatory properties, antioxidant properties, antimicrobial properties. If you're going for any villages and all, they might be knowing all kind of medical therapeutic practices. By using this kind of spices only, they will solve many kind of infectious diseases. So but now the thing is, so many people are not aware of the medical property of therapeutic property of these kind of spices. By instead of going for nitrate preservation of meat molecules, we have done one research work on these spices. We have used a lot of spices for meat preservation, chicken meat preservation, and then all kind of meat preservations we have done by using pepper and then the blows and all. So Indian spices are very much involved in the disease control, especially in antioxidant purpose. So, okay, I told you what are the importance of polyphenols and what are the importance of antioxidants. So how it is managing, how we can use this kind of polyphenols in the diabetic management, in the cardiovascular management, and in kind of some kind of kidney diseases. So I'll tell you this. If you're consuming some kind of polyphenols, if the person is suffering from diabetic, type 2 diabetic, what will happen in the type 2 diabetic, in the sense, if type 2 diabetic patients, if you are eating morning, they will eat 2 idli or 3 idli, and 9 o'clock if they are eating 2 idlis, 9:30 or 9:45 they will feel hungry. That is um, because of these two enzymes. Okay, these two dietary enzymes which will be in the gastrointestinal tract, the excess activity of alpha amylase and alpha glucosidase enzyme are a very big reason for the rapid breakdown of starch. Okay, how it is happening? So if the person is getting type 2 diabetes, in that kind of insulin imbalance is happening. So in type 2 diabetic patients, what will happen? These kind of enzymes, these kind of amylase, alpha amylase and alpha glucosidase, it will be an overexpressed in the stomach. What will happen? So this kind of alpha amylase enzyme, it will be break down the sugar, that means the starch molecule which is present over there in the food. It will be releasing the glucose at a time. That means which is a rapid breakdown of starch will be happening. Okay, what will happen? So with the rapid breakdown of starch, if it is happening, there is a sudden elevation of glucose in the bloodstream. And then what will happen? There is a excessive glucose concentration in the blood plasma, and then they will fall in the diabetic level. That means hyperglycemic level. Okay, if you're consuming these kind of polyphenols, this is a mode of action. How the polyphenols are inhibiting the alpha amylase. They won't completely inhibit the alpha amylase, because we should not completely inhibit these enzymes, otherwise we won't get digestion. Can you audible, madam? Can I audible? Okay, thank you, madam. Okay, so for type 2 diabetic patients, so these kind of enzymes will be overexpressed and it will be very rapid touch. And the rapid breakdown will be happening. Okay, rapid breakdown will be causing the excessive limit of glucose concentration in the blood plasma. So if you are consuming the metformin, what will happen? For metformin 500 mg, if you are taking for the diabetic patients, okay, for what will happen? No, this metformin will be stopping the glucose absorption in the intestine. Okay, it's simply it will stop the glucose absorption, but like that we should not completely stop the glucose absorption in intestine, because if your intestine is not absorbing the glucose, and the particular patients we won't get, I think he won't get a particular energy, it's a needed energy, but required energy he won't get because of this food. So this is a problem. The person is suffering from diabetic, and if he's eating after end of the food, after consuming the food, if he be taking a 500 mg of metformin, and then after 1 or 2 hours he'll feel some giddiness. That means the glucose absorptions won't be there. Glucose completely will be inhibited, and absorptions won't take place inside the intestine. But these kind of polyphenols, if you're going for the functional food, these kind of polyphenols, what it will do, it will be inhibiting the amylase, and then there is a sustained release of glucose molecules. If the sustained release, in the sense slowly it will be releasing the glucose, that means there is no complete inhibition is happening. At the same time, we are releasing slowly. The way the anti-diabetic properties, so that I told you, so many plants are having anti-diabetic properties. So those kind of polyphenols, those kind of plants are having polyphenols. So these kind of polyphenols will inhibit, okay, they inhibit the activity of the over expressive alpha amylase activity. It will be inhibit almost the 50%, 50 to 70% it will be inhibit. That means we need to inhibit, otherwise the rapid breakdown of starch molecule will be forming excess amount of the glucose in the blood. So this is a mode of action of polyphenols. So these polyphenols may affect the disulfide bridges located on the surface of alpha amylase as well as alpha glucosidase, another enzyme, but the same mechanism will be there. And so these are the results of the study, how the polyphenols are inhibiting this particular alpha amylase enzyme. So what is the role of, what is the impact of excessive stress on the body? What is the relationship between stress and diabetic? So I want to tell you this. What is the relationship between oxidation? So excessive oxidative stress which is happening in the cell, and how it is affecting the insulin liberations, insulin productions in the pancreatic cells. So what will happen here? The production of reactive oxygen species, when we are getting more stress or more pressures, the production of reactive oxygen species will be formed. So this reactive oxygen species will be elevating the level of free radical formations. If the free radicals are keep on forming, in the sense free radicals are nothing but they will be losing the electrons. It's like impaired electrons will be having. So these molecules, these free radical molecules, what will happen? It will be keep on inducing the over stress, and it will elevate the over stress on the beta cells. So what are the beta cells? In the sense, insulin will be producing in the beta cells of Langerhans in the pancreas. So the oxidative stress, the continuous oxidative stress inducing will be inducing the impairment of the production of insulin. So this is a very important phenomenon. How we are, if any person is suffering from any kind of hypertension, this type of hypertensions definitely will be spoil the production of insulin metabolism and insulin activity. This is an important inflammation problem which is occurred for the people more than 50 or 60 years. So this is a very biggest problem for old people, and this is coming under the non-communicable diseases, and this is a very biggest chronic diseases when the kidney function, if, even though the kidney function is normal also, these kind of inflammations, this kind of enlargement, definitely it will be affecting the kidney functions. How? I'll tell you. This is a benign prostate hyperplasia, and this kind of inflammations will be occurring for the older people because of some kind of food habits and smoking, alcohol consumption, and many toxic materials which will be accumulating in the bladders. Okay, so here the enlargement, how it is occurring. So the lipoxygenase is the enzyme which is responsible for this kind of enlargement. The people who are suffering from this kind of prostate inflammation, for prostate enlargement, what will happen? No? So here in the bladder, so if you're going for the urinations, that completely, the particular urinations, that urine won't completely emptying in the bladder. Okay, the excessive amount of that urine, it will be accumulating in the bladder, and it will cause a lot of bacterial cystitis. That means the bacterial infections will be happening here. At the same time, what will happen? So these bacterial infections will form the cystitis. From there, the kidney definitely will be affected. So most of the people who are all suffering from this kind of prostate enlargement, and they'll be feeling a very we cannot control those kind of pain. So any audible? Am I audible? Dr. Nirmala madam, I think it's not connecting with us. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So I'm telling this kind of prostate enlargement and all, it is occurring because of an enzyme. Okay, lipoxygenase enzyme is a heterogeneous enzyme. So those kind of enzymes, what will happen? No, it will be producing, it will be forming lot of lipid mediators. So such as leukotrienes, lipotoxins, hepotoxins, and all. So both. So all kind of these kind of irritable inflammatory enzyme molecules, which will be definitely, it will be causing this kind of enlargement. Okay, once if you are consuming a lot of polyphenols, functional foods, any kind of therapeutic molecules, if you are consuming, so this kind of lipoxygenase enzyme will be completely inhibited. That means there is a counter attack of these kind of polyphenols. Definitely it will give a proper treatment. Okay, so here I'm coming to the final stage of my presentation. So what are the establishment of government policies and control programs? So in the government of India, as well as World Health Organization, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, they are all constituted many schemes for controlling this kind of cardiovascular problem, diabetes, cancers, and neurogenetic disorders and renal failures. Many schemes and all, they have been included, they have been introduced. So under Ayush Department of Biotechnology, they are also making many proposals. They are asking many proposals about to find out many Indian herbal plants. Okay, so these are the importance of chronic diseases and what is the government initiations on this kind of controlling procedures of this kind of diseases. And here the summary in the sense, so I'm telling from the beginning, I'm telling any type of pandemic diseases can control it. This is a therapeutic, any kind of treatment we can do or we cannot do. We can come to know what is the end point of those kind of pandemic diseases. But these kind of epidemic diseases, non-communicable disease and all, this is happening in our body. We are the reason for these kind of diseases. Almost we are the reason. Okay, so what are the demand of functional foods? Most kind of the patients now, they should completely, they depend on this kind of functional food, polyphenols, and then this kind of natural antioxidants. They should avoid fried, those type of junk food and those type of fried food, everything. So here the global touch, what is the importance of the spices, Indian spices all over the world? What are the importance of our Indian spices? What we are, what type of treatment we are getting from the plant sources nearly for this COVID-19 pandemic disease? This is a big problem in the world, but some kind of some kind of restrictions we can do it. If you are maintaining a proper health, if you are building a proper since it's a strong building, if you have a strong building, you don't need to worry about any type of thieves or any type of intruders. That means same thing I'm telling. If you are very much strong with natural consumption of food, everything, if you are making a good body, good health and all, so don't worry about any type of infections, because Indians are having the very high level of immunity against any type of diseases. We have seen many diseases, many pandemic diseases, but we have the ability to task managing this type of task. Okay, we are talking about the foreign food, all kind of fried food from the the international level, all kind of food we want to taste. But the Chinese, they want to see what kind of people of India they're consuming from the Indian spices. They recently some kind of messages come from rasam powder. So what is there in the rasam powder? So what kind of spices are there in the rasams? There are also everything, each and everything. We should not underestimate any kind of spices in which is present in India. We have ancestors. They gave many kind of preparatory methods. So please, you follow all kind of things. So instead of avoiding those kind of junk food, so better be a natural things and be a natural food. So in my perception, if you are the superpower or a developed country, so the developed country in the sense, we should not be evaluated or estimated by the high infrastructure armed forces or well constructed financial ground or high specialty hospitals, all the things. This is not a big issue for any type of superpower, but it should be considered by a healthy society, a healthy people. Okay, if the people are not healthy, what is the meaning of accumulating all type of armed forces? That is not a big kind of things. Okay, if the people are sick, what is the meaning of making all kind of facility? That's it's not meaningful for, is my perception. So better avoid medicines. Okay, let food be your medicine. That is always very important. Okay, if you are eating a proper food, you don't need to go for any medications, because many of the people who are all born in 1990s, because last 1 year in ICMR, they registered a lot of 2000 fertility centers registrations have been done in ICMR. So 2000 fertility center, in the sense most of the people are infertile because of these kind of the junk foods. Okay, 1990s only in India, most of the foreign restaurants and all have been established. So most of the foreign restaurants have been established in 1990s. Most of the people that born in 1990s, 94, 92, most of it they'll be standing in the infertility centers. So maybe a reason. So most of this kind of junk foods definitely will be spoil your body and health. So thank you so much. Can ask some questions.